Hello, everyone. Welcome to another CybHER conversation. I'm Kampi, and today I have with me Paige. She is one of the CybHER leaders, one of my awesome team members who does a lot of social media for us. She does content development, and if you ever see some of the CybHER stickers, know that she's the brains behind some of our very popular ones. And today, our guest we have here today with us, Betta Lyon Delsordo. She began her cyber journey at the age of 13 when she started teaching herself to code. And this grew into freelance web development work for small businesses in Montana, where she soon realized that she needed to know more about application security to keep her clients safe. She began learning more about secure coding and interned with a hacking firm, and she realized that she was pretty good at it. And after completing a master's in cybersecurity at Georgia Tech, obtaining certifications as the G-Pen, and working her way up through pen testing, Betta is now working as an application security pen tester, also known as an ethical hacker, for OnDefend. Her areas of expertise include application security, secure code review, cloud security, and AI hacking. Betta is very involved in the cybersecurity community and with organizations that support women in technology. She has been a mentor for 9 years with Technovation, which is an international girls coding program, and is an organizer and speaker for organizations that promote diversity in technology, including RTC, WSIS, WISP, and WSC. Betta, thank you so much for being on Cyber Conversations. The floor is now yours.
Thank you guys. I'm so happy to be here. Thanks so much for having me. And I'm really excited to do a little presentation for you guys on some common questions I get about career tips, how to become an ethical hacker, and then we'll do a little bit of Q&A after that. So I hope you guys find this presentation helpful. These are some of the most common questions that I get. So I'll pull this up here real quick for you guys. All right. So I'm going to talk today about finding your path in cybersecurity. And I'll focus also on ethical hacking because I know people are always interested in that. So hopefully you're watching this because you want to work in cybersecurity. And of course you do, because it's honestly one of the coolest careers out there. It's very exciting, it pays well, and there's lots of opportunity. So I hope you're here because you're excited. But there's a lot of information out there and some misinformation out there about getting into cybersecurity, and I want to help you guys find the best information. So if you're starting young like I did, you know the best path to take to get there. So today we're going to talk about a realistic approach to getting started in cybersecurity and how you can get there, how you can actually learn cybersecurity online for free, what you can do to start getting a job or an internship, volunteering, and then we're going to work on some goal setting at the end. So I'll keep it quick, but as I go throughout, I'm going to list some information. You might want to take a screenshot or anything like that, rewind and go take a look, because I'm sharing a lot of great resources that will hopefully help you. So, just a little bit about myself. You heard my bio there at the beginning, but I started when I was 13, and it's never too early to start learning about this stuff. If it sounds exciting, just go online, Google something, and try and figure it out. So I started teaching myself to code initially and started building websites in high school and college for some small businesses. And that's when I got into actually more security stuff because you can imagine as a teenager building websites, I didn't really know a lot about security right away. And once I started learning about it, it was hard to go back to building things because I kept thinking about, oh, what if I was able to attack this and all that. So I think security is super interesting and fun, but you will need to understand a little bit of tech stuff before you get there. But yeah, I was fortunate to get a lot of scholarships and funding for my degrees and certifications. And I'm currently an application pen tester at OnDefend, and I was actually just promoted yesterday, so I am now a lead. So I lead a team of pen testers. So very exciting development. So some quick little things here, some myths and realities. If you start researching stuff about cybersecurity and how to get a job, you'll see kind of a lot of wild claims out there, and I want to just set the record straight on some of these. So sometimes you'll hear people say there are 3 million or 3.5 million unfilled jobs in cyber. Like, woohoo, if you just know a little bit, you'll automatically get a job. But I would say this is not always true because those are not entry-level jobs. There are a lot of people that want to work in cybersecurity at an entry level, and those 3 million jobs are maybe like very advanced jobs, but you do have to really stand out to get that first job. So I'm going to talk about how to do that later today. Don't be discouraged. Just know that it's not, as crazy as people claim. Some people will say you can get a job in cybersecurity after a 3-month boot camp or, just watching a few videos. And I will say, sorry, that's just not true. People are usually just trying to sell you something to say, pay me some money and you'll automatically get a job. It usually takes 2 to 3 years of studying, um, from the time you say, I want to get a job in cybersecurity to like learning it and teaching yourself. So if you want to do that, just get started now, especially if you're young, you've got plenty of time. And just know that those like, learn things super quick aren't always regarded very well in the industry. You do just need time. Sometimes you'll hear people complain and they'll say, people just want to do cybersecurity because it's cool or it pays well. And I'll say, yes, of course. Like, why would you not want to do a career that's cool and pays well? I mean, that's why we work, right? And I think cyber's also awesome because you can help make the world a better place. You can protect people from getting their identities stolen and also represent women in technology if you choose this career path. So um, do it for whatever reason you want to. Don't tell people you don't belong here. And I'm going to help you get there. So how do you actually learn these cyber skills? It can be really confusing. Like you're like, what is hacking? And it's really hard to describe what exactly hacking is. There's so many different kinds, but it's basically breaking things in a way that's not expected. But you do have to understand the type of technology. So hacking a website is very different from hacking a refrigerator or hacking a car or hacking your Wi-Fi router. So you have to understand how that technology works before you learn how to break it. So you can pick anything, but you're going to have to learn like a lot of stuff before you get there. So don't be discouraged. But there are so many resources out there. So this would be a great time to take a screenshot. I don't have time to go through all of these, but these are some free websites. You can go online and learn how to hack stuff for free. It's legal. You're not going to get like taken away by the FBI or anything. So just look this stuff up. Try Hack Me is a great one for starting out. I also love the Web Security Academy. That's where I learned a lot about web hacking. And if you start there and it doesn't make any sense, don't worry. Just Google some really basic things. Like if you want to learn how to hack a website, first you might have to learn how to build a basic website. So go on YouTube, look up a tutorial until it feels comfortable and try things out. And you'll get there. I would also say to definitely look at your university or your high school or whatever public library for free ebooks. You don't need to buy textbooks or anything if you want to study for things. Just try and find those like free ones. Um, but yeah, ChatGPT is also great at tutoring you for things. You don't want to over rely on it, but it can definitely help quiz you on different stuff. So, um, so much out there. Definitely check these out to start learning. Then, one thing you'll hear a lot about in cybersecurity are certifications. And this can feel kind of daunting. There's so many acronyms, and you might have no idea what any of them mean. Basically, all it is just a badge to say you know a certain thing, so that if you're going to walk into somewhere and be like, trust me, I know what I'm doing, let me hack your network, people want to know that you actually know what you're doing. So sometimes you have to pay a little bit to take a test and then say, this is what I know what I want to do. But um, which certification to take is a really big thing. It really depends on your specialization, whether you hack websites, whether you hack databases, whether you hack cars. You're gonna have different things. So it's hard for me to tell you what type of certifications you want to get to prove that you know what you're doing. I would say just start studying until you find an area you like. Then go look up job descriptions that have to do with that. So if you want to look up, web hacker or application penetration tester, penetration testing is also known as hacking. See what this acronym is that's listed on a lot of those, and then go research what is that? How much is it? How much do I need to study? That will help you stand out and say, yes, I'm qualified to do this. But this is another list to screenshot. These are the ones that I see listed most often. You don't need all of these, just pick one that has to do with your major specialization. So I know that's a lot really quickly, but this is kind of a high level overview. If you've been studying for those 2 to 3 years and you are finally like, okay, I want to get a job or an internship in cybersecurity, which if you're starting now, if you're like in middle school, high school, you've got plenty of time, don't worry. But once you're actually wanting to get into that, there are a lot of different ways to actually get into this job. Like I said, it can be a little competitive to get that first cybersecurity job. Everyone wants to be a hacker. It's super cool. But you're gonna have to show that you actually have done this before. You're not gonna show up and be like, well, I've never hacked before, but like give me all your access. So one thing I think is really important is that you can go to school, you can get a degree, but you will always have to teach yourself stuff. So just get really comfortable Googling things, going on YouTube. Whatever you're learning in school is already like probably 5 years out of date. Just kind of how it goes by the time something makes it into a textbook. So just get really comfortable, going on YouTube, going on Try Hack Me. But you can use, a degree or certification as kind of a stamp of approval. But there's also something called a bug bounty, where companies will say it's okay to hack them, and then you can report little things you find. That's a way to build some experience. You can also go to conferences, which is where a bunch of hackers come together and talk about cool stuff. And if you are, asking a lot of good questions and then eventually decide to like showcase something you've done, that's a really great thing to do. But I think one of the best paths is volunteering. I'll talk about that a little bit on the next slide. But if you're able to go to like small nonprofits, maybe a senior center, an elementary school, and explain to them even basic cybersecurity and how to stay safe, that is experience as well. There's something called a CTF, which is a capture the flag competition. That's like a hacking competition. And if you do well, you can kind of brag about that and show off that. But that's kind of a more advanced thing, so don't worry about that right away. But one of the best things you can do is just building projects. If you find something that's cool and you want to show that you did it, build a project and then show it off to people. Online, you could start a blog, something like that, a YouTube channel, and once you're ready to show the things you've done. And eventually, you might want to get an internship or just do really basic jobs like IT help desk, because when people come to you to fix their computers, they've often had things like malware on their computer, and that's a great way to get that experience, help them fix that. So there's so many different paths. There's not one way into cybersecurity, but you will need several years of doing this stuff before someone's willing to hire you to do it full time. So, like I said, volunteering is really one of the best ways if you have that time and that ability. Um, do something for free. People are probably not going to turn you down, and eventually you can kind of start charging a little bit, very low amounts. That could become, your own little side business. But really, just if you know even a little bit about cybersecurity, you know way more than the vast majority of people out there. Like you can just teach people basic things like how to watch out for phishing emails, how to not click on sketchy texts, you know. So go to senior centers, go to elementary schools, maybe even start talking at your university, wherever you're at. Um, just try and help people. And if you can showcase that you've been doing this for several years, you've put yourself forward as someone who knows what they're doing. It could also be a YouTube channel, a LinkedIn, a site, things like that. Those are ways that, professionals show off what they do. It's all up to you what you want to show. Um, and I definitely know that volunteering takes time and privilege. Some of us don't have that. Some people have to work, a lot. But if you're able to, it's a really great way to stand out. Um, And one thing is networking. I know when I was growing up, I knew nothing about networking. I came from Montana and I was like, what is that? There are no technical people that I could just like go up to and ask about their jobs. But that's why this is such a great program. You guys are in the Dakotas and also very similar environment. There's not a lot of people you can talk to about what they do, but try and find these virtual events. And if you are able to, the site called LinkedIn is a great way to, reach out to people virtually and ask them about their jobs. And what you do when you do that is you say, hey, I'm really interested in this. I'm studying, I'm learning these things. In a couple of years, I'm going to be looking for an internship. Can I like stay in touch with you about it? If that person knows that you're into this stuff, they will, start sending you opportunities, start sending you things to go to, and they can like help you get that internship. Versus if you wait until you're desperate and you're like, wow, I really need a job. You just randomly walk up to people and are like, hi, I need a job. Nobody's going to help you. So, this is a list of random things, but there's a lot of conferences that you can go to talk to people. Join your clubs at your university or high school, maybe middle school if you have those kinds of things, anything that's like robotics. And you stay in touch with people as you go throughout your careers, your university. Stay in touch with those people that are also going to be looking for jobs and you can help each other. So, definitely lots of things you can do here, but really reach out to also teachers and professors and mentors. They are there to help you. So don't be afraid to like go up and ask them about things you're interested in. And kind of the final big tip I have here is that you have to specialize. I know if you're just getting started in cybersecurity, it can be really overwhelming. There's so many different things. And when I was starting out, there was so much I wanted to learn. I was like, I want to learn about cyber law and hacking and an incident response plan. And I want to, build, network traffic monitor. You can't do all of it, and you're just not going to be good enough at it right away. What I tell people is instead of doing 50 things one time, do one thing 50 times. A lot of introductory cybersecurity courses will have you do like, one thing 50 times or 50 things one time, sorry. So maybe you'll open up, Wireshark, which is a network security tool one time. Maybe you'll learn about analyzing malware one time. Maybe you'll analyze the cyber law one time. But you can't go to a job and say, hey, I've only done this once, but can you hire me? So I know it's exciting to learn everything, but pick one thing, do that over and over until you're really good at it. And you can go and get hired to do that specific thing. As you go on later, you can add more stuff. But I would just pick anything that sounds interesting to you right now and just stay dedicated to it. for me, because I came from a web development background, I was able to focus specifically on web hacking because I understood how websites were built, where people leave holes because I had been there when I was, rushing on a deadline. But anything that sounds exciting. I know you might not know what all these words mean, but you can take a screenshot here, go ask ChatGPT about them, go research them. And if one of those sounds cool and interesting, just start on it and then, stick with it. It doesn't matter, but pick something, learn about what the specific tools are for that specific career path. What do you need to know for that path? And then you can, when you go to introduce yourself to people, say, "Hi, I'm really into malware analysis." And people will be like, "Wow, cool." Versus if you're just like, "I think cybersecurity is cool, but I don't know, whatever," they won't know how to help you. So be able to brand yourself as someone who's into something very specific, and you will stand out a lot more. And one thing that is here to help you are diversity organizations. So there's so many organizations out there that want to help women and other underrepresented groups, whatever, ethnicity you identify, your gender, your sexuality, whatever. People are here to help you find like-minded people, and those people can be your mentors. If someone has the same background as you, they understand what you've been through, they're really it's much more likely that you're able to connect with them and stay in touch and help each other out. So find these groups. They also have scholarships to pay for certifications, to pay for college. Um, there's a lot here, so just, screenshot this or just Google whatever, group you identify with and, cybersecurity diversity organization. And there's wonderful communities out there. So, kind of my last thing here is we're going to talk about setting some goals because I've thrown a ton of information at you in a very short amount of time. So again, this is something you could screenshot and think about later, but I would say pick at least one of these goals and make a goal for something you're going to do either this weekend or this month. If you put a time limit on it, you say this weekend, I'm going to go research what's my specialization. I'm going to go ask ChatGPT, like, I like, solving riddles with math. And then it'll tell you maybe you should learn about cryptography. And you're like, okay, so do something this weekend or, look up what can I do this month? Is there an event in my city that people, has something to do with technology and I could go meet people. Even if you're young, it is people are think it's so cool when young people show up to these events and you're like, "Hi, I'm a student. I want to learn about this career path." Go introduce yourself to people, stay in touch with them. That's how you start building that network at a young age. So there's a lot of stuff here. But I think the other last thing would be pick a group in your community you could volunteer with. Is that an elementary school teacher you've stayed in touch with? Is that a local library that you go do something? You're not too young, you're not too ignorant, whatever it is, if you know even a tiny bit, just start like teaching people, getting them to talk about cybersecurity. And that is something that will build into just stuff throughout your career. So I really hope this was helpful to you all, and we'll move into some questions.
That was perfect. That was very
Thank
good
you.
information. And some of the things that you say on there to pick one area and go off from there, I think is really very helpful. And it's not talked about as much because people, when they think of cybersecurity, I've said this many times, even today, when I say anything about cybersecurity, most people, the first question is, oh, hacking? Like, you mean hacking? Not really. There's so many other aspects, and people just aren't aware of all of those. And I think the more awareness we bring about the different jobs in cyber, the more people will try to branch out and think of, okay, cyber in terms of policy, in terms of GRC, in terms of privacy, in terms of law, in terms of cloud security, AI and security, and things like that. So I think that that was very, very helpful.
Thank you. I'm so glad it found it helpful. And yeah, these are the questions I get asked most often, so I hope it's helpful to you all out there. But yeah, what else you got? Is there anything else I
So
can talk
I
about?
do actually have a nice list
Hmm.
of questions, but first off, let me say congratulations on your promotion. That is
Thank
very
you.
exciting.
Mm.
So my first question is based on your career trajectory, right? Your path from web development to pen testing. Can you tell us if it was easy or hard to transition from web development to web hacking? And would you recommend then learning web development before getting into web hacking?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think for me, it was just I didn't know about hacking when I was so young. I had just started with, code because it sounded cool and I was following that natural interest. So for me, it was focusing on something that I found interesting, like that specialization, which grew into how can I help people with this? There was a group of women entrepreneurs in my hometown of Montana that were like, hey, can you help us with their websites? There's this teenager that knows how to code. And I was like, sure, why not? And first I did it for free, then I started charging a tiny bit, and then it kind of grew into like my own little business. But eventually, once I learned about hacking, I was like, oh, that's way cooler and more interesting, and I need to learn about this. So it was after I had a stable thing going, I could have stayed a web developer, but then I was able to pivot into something. So that's why I say pick like one specialization at a time and it builds on it. But I think across anything, if you're interested in hacking specifically, you do really have to understand the technology before you hack it. So whatever you want to hack, if you think it's cool to hack Wi-Fi or, phones, you have to learn about how to build that thing first, know enough about it to break it. So whatever it is, you want to learn like the just boring defensive side of things before you start hacking it. So for me, that was web, but could be for anyone. And I think once I went down that route, like I've spent years doing this, by the time I was ready to apply for jobs, it was fine. But I do know people that will like be like they're in their last semester of college and they finally learn about cybersecurity. It's just not enough time for them to get a job initially. So I encourage them to first get a job in whatever it is, software development or, IT support, and then move, into cyber from there.
So now that you have like established yourself in your specialization, can you like explain to us like what a typical day or week looks like for you as like a cybersecurity professional?
Yeah. So my current role works a lot around source code review, which basically means it's the back side of things. When you write code, that might turn into a website, it might turn into an app, could turn into anything. Usually when I've my past roles, I've been attacking like that final product, the website or the app or something. But now I'm looking on the back side of it. So I'm just looking at like the raw code to see if I can find issues in there. And there are tools to help me. So there's tools that will like scan through and come up with things it thinks are vulnerabilities. But then it's my job to determine, is this actually a problem? What can I do about it? Um, and then recommend to the developers, the people who wrote the code, how they should fix it and write code that would actually fix it and not be a security vulnerability. So I love it. I think it's really fun, but I do know people that are like, oh, I hate looking at code all day. So it's a very specific and niche area of hacking because it's more like modeling things from the backside of stuff as opposed to the front. Um, but I think it's really fun. And you get to be more creative, I think. It's a more like emerging area. But in outside of work, I'm also very involved in AI hacking. So I've been giving some talks at conferences about AI hacking. I think that's really fun. And in a previous role, I was able to do that as well. So depends on what I'm assigned, what types of jobs that I get coming my way, but it will depend on that. But basically, you'll spend a lot of time working on the actual technical stuff, understanding the problems. Then you'll write a big report, which is always the most important part. So you have to be good at writing about all the stuff you found, show what it is, and explain it in a way that someone who's not a hacker would understand it, and explain how to fix it in a simple way that the developers can just rewrite their code. So yeah, it's kind of what it looks like.
I am actually one of those people. I'm not a coder. I'm not a technical
That's
person
all
at
right.
all. I am one of those people. I'm like, I
Mhm.
don't understand it.
That's all right.
But it's wonderful when I hear people talk about how they do their job, like what their day looks like. You get to see a nice insight, right? You get this nice
Hmm.
insight into their daily life. Um, my question, which kind of ties into what you had said previously about giving talks, is how and why did you get into, public speaking, cybersecurity? And as a follow-up, do you have a favorite talk of yours so far that you've given?
Yeah. So I have just been speaking for as long as I can remember. I've always like enjoyed it. I did speech and debate in high school, and so I think that gave me like a natural confidence and ability to speak. I know some people are really afraid of it, and that's okay. It doesn't have to be your thing. But if you like public speaking, it's a huge benefit because you can put yourself out there and your ideas and find people that find it interesting too. So I've always liked that. And I've been speaking on like career stuff and mentoring like girls in technology for like 9 years now. In high school, I started like a club for middle school girls, teaching them code. And then I was mentoring through this international coding competition for many years. Um, and so in that kind of like being a leader and mentor role made me very confident, and I was able to talk about like basic coding stuff. But it's been more recently I've been talking about cybersecurity. So I've been doing a lot of demos on AI hacking because everyone thinks it's really fun and cool. And I actually, a few weeks ago at the Women in Cybersecurity conference, gave a very popular AI hacking talk, and there were 200 people there. So it was very exciting, and that was like my biggest audience so far. But I loved it. And so I'm always planning to, I want to do keynotes someday, whole conferences, that's the plan. But I got to have cool stuff to talk about. So I'm always working on things that I want to research and get better about and have something interesting to say.
Actually, I was at the conference. I wasn't able to get
Yay.
to the workshop, but I think that's how Gwen got your information and we started the
Hmm.
whole process. So that was really cool.
Thank you. Yeah.
And I have no doubt that one day you will be able to give the keynote at Mises or
Thank
any
you.
other
It's the
conference.
plan.
So then, can we talk a little bit about your certifications? Right, you have earned many cybersecurity certifications. So, which one did you feel was the hardest for you to get? And how did you push through when it got really difficult? And as a follow-up, would you recommend any starting certifications, like the basics, the foundations, for anybody who's wanting to start in cybersecurity?
Yeah, certifications are kind of one of those hard things because a lot of people complain about them. A lot of it, it's not fun. No one likes taking them, but you really need to have at least one or two just to stand out from everyone else to say, like, I know what I'm doing. If someone's going to pay you to break into their network, they really want to know that, like, you know some stuff. So you might have to pick at least one. And for me, the biggest one I have is the G-Pen, which is this very kind of famous hacking certification. It's insanely expensive, though. I was only able to do it because I got a scholarship from Women's Society of Cyber Jitsu. It's normally like $8,000, so I would never, ever, ever tell anyone to pay for that on their own. But there are scholarships, and sometimes like certain companies or the government will pay for it. Um, but there are way cheaper like options out there. Like I think um, the EWPT or something is only like a few hundred, and the Hack the Box certification, it's a certified pen tester. I'm working on that one. Uh, is only like a few hundred as well. So those are much more manageable, and again, you can get scholarships to cover those. Those are like the more advanced ones, though. There's also one called the OSCP that I'm working on. I have a voucher for that as well. Those are like for sure very advanced, so it's not where you're going to be starting. But those will like once you have that, you can have any job you want because you really like stand out from the crowd. Starting out, you don't need a certification right away, like especially in that initial phase when you're just learning, you're picking your specialization. Just follow your curiosity, volunteer at stuff. Don't put pressure on yourself to do that stuff yet because it can get kind of like discouraging to like just don't focus on it. But once you're ready, like the year before you want to apply for like internships, jobs, or whatever, you should start planning for at least one. I think the Security Plus is a great way to start. It won't get you a job on its own. It might get you an internship. It's very general and it's like an introductory one. It's not super expensive. And there's usually student discounts as well. Um, a lot of people are getting free vouchers right now for the ISC2 CC and the Google cybersecurity one, but I would say those are not, there's not really any recognition of them in the industry. Like if you get them for free, like for sure do it, but don't go out of your way to do them because there's people don't really know what they are. The only point of certifications really is for the non-technical people reading your resume. There's like people that filter it out first. They are just going to match and see if certain like four letters is on your thing, checkbox or not. That's all it is. And then you move on to an actual technical interview. They don't really care. So I would say go look at job descriptions, see what is the one that keeps popping up over and over again and work towards that. Um, I've gotten a lot of them for free. I have way more certifications than I need because I've got like free vouchers and scholarships, but you really only need like one or two that are like the ones that pop up. So, yeah.
I've heard about the OSCP and that it's one of the most difficult exams. A few years ago, I say a few, but I was working as an intern on a network security team, and
Hmm.
over the summer, when I started interning, they were working, they were prepping for it, they were studying for it and everything. Over a 2 week time period, four of them took the exam. All four of them got the certification.
Wow.
And they were like, yeah, we decided to go and start this group as a study group so we can, support each other, we can study together and everything. And I thought, oh, wow.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I'm working on it. It's my next plan when I get some more time to study. So, um, yeah, those are good ones. But I also have been working as a pen tester for a while now, and I didn't have it, so it's not like a hard requirement. So yeah.
Well, good luck on the OCP.
Thank you. Yeah.
Um, Another question. During our research, we have found that you speak multiple languages.
Hmm.
Um, what what was the motivation to learn to speak all these languages? And do you find that having knowledge or knowing how to speak different languages has been helpful in your work in cybersecurity?
I wish. I mean, that'd be super cool if I was just like hacking stuff in multiple languages. That would be like super spy, like movie level stuff. That would be
Mhm.
awesome. But no, it's just kind of one of my hobbies. I really love learning languages and traveling, and I think it comes easily to me. I view it kind of like the same way I view coding languages. Once you know like the same base, it's not that different across, like all the coding languages are kind of the same underneath. I've kind of been doing it easy because I'm doing all the Romance languages like Spanish, Italian, Portuguese, French. They're all basically the same under the hood. It's just like,
Yeah.
spelling differences. So if I were to go out and learn something like Japanese, I'm sure it would take me way longer. So uh, I think I just think it's fun and cool. It's not, I think some people, if you have a certain area of interest, um, sometimes people learn certain languages there, but it's not a big deal. So yeah.
But it's still super cool though, learning
Yeah.
language, being able to converse in that different
Hmm.
language. It's really nice.
Yeah.
I started a while ago. I downloaded the app, I paid for the subscription and everything to learn Spanish.
Oh,
Never got
nice.
past like two lessons because
Oh,
I
no.
just wasn't able to dedicate enough time. And then I put it off and I put it off and I put it off, and it's just somewhere out there now.
Yeah. I think that's for me is part of my like discipline and ability to study frequently, which is something you need in cybersecurity, is being able to like consistently teach yourself stuff and be motivated. So I think because I'm good at that, I'm able to like do the language learning. But I totally get for a lot of people, it's just like another thing to do. And
Yeah.
yeah.
And then few other questions that we've gotten from audiences in the past is what is the coolest thing that you have ever done?
Ooh, yeah. I I think AI hacking is really cool. It's like one of the newest areas out there, and what's fun about it is there's not a lot of existing guides about how to hack AI. So I've been kind of like at my past job, I was able to hack some AI. I had a client that was a major cloud provider, and they would send my team all their new AI stuff that they were going to add to their cloud stuff. We were able to kind of just make up this stuff as we went because there wasn't a lot of guides out there. And then I've continued just in my own time researching that, trying, AI hacking games, giving talks on it. Um, and I think it's really, really fun because it's almost more like social engineering. So social engineering is when you're trying to trick something into like, clicking in a sketchy text and sending you money, but I'm doing that to an AI. So I'm trying to trick the AI into, deleting someone else's account or just crashing and because it doesn't know what to do with the instructions that I gave it or revealing some secret information or maybe it was trained on some private information. Can I get that? So I think that's the most fun stuff.
That actually is the coolest thing I've ever heard as well. Because today
Yeah.
everything is running or revolving around using AI agents to do anything. Like
Yeah.
you chat with customer service, it's an AI bot doing the customer service for you. So
You can get discount codes too if you can trick it. You could say like, what's the discount code right now? Things like that. So um, there's fun. I tell people if you want to learn this stuff, there's like Capture the Flag or CTF games out there. There's a famous one called Gandalf for AI hacking. There's another one called Prompt Airlines. We have to try and get like a free airline ticket.
wow,
So those are fun ways to practice it if you're into that. And you don't have to be super technical. There's no coding. It's just kind of like being creative. So I like to do that as a demo with people.
that's very good to know.
Mm.
And we are almost out of time, so I'm gonna wrap up this session with one last question. I know you've already covered a bunch of this, touched on it, but what is one piece of advice that you can give to any young person that is watching this video right now?
Yeah, I would say just like start getting excited about what you want to do with your life and be motivated enough to stick with it. Be motivated enough to make a plan for yourself. I think a lot of my success just comes from 13-year-old me sitting down to learn something. I didn't have to. I don't really know why I did, but You know, every year since then, I've been learning new things every weekend, every month, and it just takes dedication. And I know it's hard. Like there's other things you want to do with your time, but just making time every week, every month to study, to learn something new, that's when you will pay off future you. So future you will be so excited that you started this a long time ago. So just think about future you. What would you wanted you to start doing 10 years ago? Even last year, what did you wish you had already done? And just make a plan to start. Do something really small and build up to it. But just be dedicated and think about what you want your future to look like.
That's really good.
Mhm.
Once again, I want to thank you so much for being on Cyber Conversations. We appreciate that you have taken time out of your day to be here with us. And I also want to thank all of the audiences. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Wonderful to be here.